Y'all, Stages is now sponsored by BetterHelp, and I couldn't be more excited because I love therapy. So I encourage you, if you've had a tough year and a half, why don't you give them a shot? You can find a therapist that you can connect with. Their resource is thousands of therapists, well-trained and experienced. You can keep looking until you find someone that you click with. They have customized online therapy. They do offer videos, but they also offer phone and live chat sessions. So you don't even have to be seen. You can only be heard. What are you waiting for? Go to BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/stages. And for our cast members, you get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/stages. Go, go, go. Go find your healing. Go find your happy. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. That's HELP. Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks. Welcome to Stages Podcast,
where we're bringing creation and connection to center stage.
Hi, cast members. Today's episode is the final in our 3-part series about Rwanda. As we head into the new year of 2022, we felt that the theme of today's episode was perfect: hope and rebirth. Hope Azeda was our guest. She's a Rwandan refugee who was raised in Uganda. She returned to Rwanda as the founder and artistic director of Mashirika Performing Arts and Media Company. She's a poet, a writer, performer, and teacher, and her work has been seen around the world. In 2004, Hope was commissioned to direct and write the 10th anniversary commemoration play of the Rwandan genocide. It was entitled Africa's Hope. She shares that experience with us today. Later in the episode, we are joined by Arthur Nkusi. Arthur met Hope when he was a young boy. He was cast in the lead role of the 10-year-old boy in Africa's Hope. Now he's a grown man, and he's one of the most popular comedians and radio hosts, not just in Rwanda, but in all of Africa. This multi-talented performer shares his magic with us today. A gentle reminder: this episode does talk about the Rwandan genocide. So if it's something that you don't feel you're able to listen to, we understand, and we'll catch up with you next week. This episode was recorded at a friend's home in Rwanda, so the quality is imperfect, but the message rings loud and clear, and the message is shared humanity. We hope you enjoy.
So it happened like in my high school, I was taken to a British Catholic boarding school. And for 6 years, there's one anthem we sang every day before breakfast at 9 a.m. And that anthem was called Strive Regardless. But there was a line special in that anthem: we will grace our lives with arts and skills. We sang this every day of my life in that high school.
And somehow that one line always struck with you.
Exactly. I was like, arts and skills. So there's no science or math, the arts and skills, you know.
Hope and Arthur to the stage, please. Can we please have Hope and Arthur to the stage?
I wanted to take you back to 2004. I know that that was the year that you were commissioned to put together the genocide commemoration, the 10-year commemoration. And it was the first year that they did it on a grand scale. So it must have been just a monumental task. You're honoring the survivors. You're honoring an entire generation. And you're telling the stories that are deeply, deeply personal and painful to many of them. So what I'm wondering is, first of all, how did the production come to you? And what was your vision?
Yeah, I was commissioned together with my company to work on a piece we had 2 weeks to produce a theater piece for the stadium for the 10th commemoration of Rwandan genocide.
2 weeks. To write it?
Yeah, everything.
And stage it?
Yeah, everything around that experience was a big slap in every sense you can imagine, but yet you can't say no.
Right, sure.
Yeah, so at that time, they're looking for like to change the tradition of people meeting around the fire and telling stories in April, the 7th of April. So they're like, let's do something performative. Let's do something more than just sitting around the fire and listening to people.
Something staged.
Yeah, something staged. So we're approached by James Smith and Stephen Smith from Kigali Genocide Memorial. At that time, they're also setting up the memorial. They were like washing bones, like treating them, unburying things, treating them, trying to recover anything, a sport ID or a bracelet, whatever families were bringing to the memorial to make a memorial. Yes. So they came to us and they said, hope we want something for the 10th commemoration. I asked them, when is this? When do you want it? And they said they want it in 2 weeks' time. I was like, what? A stadium in 2 weeks? I didn't want to say no or yes. I was completely confused. Then asked them how many people are going to be there. They said about 30,000. Wow. I was like, okay, so what kind of performance do you want? They said something along the lines of memory and hope. They're already writing the script. You know, we've been to Nyamata Church, which is also another memorial.
Yes.
And there was a woman who was pregnant for 4 days hiding under the dead bodies. Her son was always around her telling the story of how her son...
This is the 10-year-old son.
Yeah, yes. Survived. And I was like, what does that boy think? That you always have a mother talk about how you survived, but you're not part of that, you know? So immediately, as writers, you know, once things start unfolding, you're already writing things in your head. Yes. So I was like, how about we look at genocide through the eyes of a 10-year-old? Yes. What kind of questions do they have? We as people who have been around, what answers do we have for this kind of generation? In 10 years' time, there'll be 20 years. In other, there'll be 25 years. There'll be a new generation. That's how I started writing the piece. So I was like, you know what? Let's play with mass people. And just have like a 9-year-old or 10-year-old boy be the narrator of this story that is going to be from memory to hope. And so we got from the Genocide Memorial, from whatever they were collecting, they gave us some testimonies. Okay. And I was like, okay, so we have like pillars. So every story looked like a pillar for me, like that was going to be the story. And I realized that some of those stories they are giving us were stories of young people at that time that were 12 or 13 or 14. What are their hopes and dreams? So now their testimonies became the memory part, and the hopes and dreams became the hope part.
Yes.
So now that I had blocks, that's not like a classic of writing a play, but I was like, it's a stadium. You can play with things around. You can break rules, because I'd never written for a stadium. So I was like, let's have the young boy be the thread that threads all this together. You know, just asking, my name is Arthur, whatever I am. I was born on this day. My birthday is on this day, but I cannot celebrate it because we are mourning. What happened on that day? My country looks beautiful. The culture is beautiful. What exactly happened on that day? So this young boy takes us through where these young people, because they had been interviewed about what are your dreams? Like now that you're left, your family is gone, what are your hopes and dreams? So you know, you had hopes and dreams of like, all I need is peace, even if I have little to eat, as long as I eat it in a peaceful country. For me, it's not about yellow or green or who. For me, it is the breath behind them that unites us as spirits.
The breath.
You know, these were like. So for me, that was the play. Now, as looking and casting, there was one of the main actors that had selected from our company, and he had this child, and this child was Arthur.
Oh.
And Arthur was, I think, about 11 or 12, but he was that little. So Arthur became our narrator in the stadium.
And was that child?
And the stadium, the cast was about 1,000 people.
Yes. Oh my God. So I don't know. When I look at a 2-week span and the huge production values that need to happen, whether that be sound or teaching the young boy the staging and the lines and to feel the comfort level, how does one put that all together?
I think what put us together was that common bond of, if we don't tell this story, who will tell it? The rehearsals were quite emotional. It was my first time for me to strip off like all these labels, director, writer, of anything. I became just a facilitator who is part of the process. And I remember just a few poetry that was being written, because we were using a lot of poetry, testimonies, music, and all that. But that was really quite an intensive school of life, I would call, because the process was painful yet rewarding. Mm-hmm. Yet you feel you're indebted to. You feel like you've been given a special gift, and you need to receive that gift with your heart and give it back to the world. Mm-hmm. And it was not going to be just another story. It was going to be that story you carry with care and clarity.
Could you feel the hopes and dreams, hurts, clarity in your audience too, with 30,000 people collectively sitting there?
Yes.
I can't imagine what that energy must have felt like coming back at you.
It was intense. It is one of those shows that started and you hold your breath.
Yes.
And you only breathe at the end.
So I know that you used actual testimonies of survivors to help tell the story, but did you also use traditional Rwandan dance? Because from what I've seen with Rwandan dance, it's very joyful. It's about beauty and happiness. So how did you portray that to depict the very opposite?
Because the Rwandan traditional dance is about joy and grace, it's about beauty and grace. So that was not much to work with in a genocide-related subject.
Right.
So we had to think out of the box. Now that we have things we can't speak, what we can't sing, what we have, where words have failed us, what other artistic technique, what other tool do we have technical-wise to like tell this moment.
Yeah. Yes.
And, silence became one of them.
Silence became one of the techniques.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
silence
really
became one of them. And through that silence that just swept and took all of us, from that, someone would start playing a flute or humming a song. Mm-hmm. And somebody builds on that and then the poem continues. Because there was a lot of emotional breakdowns. And also because of movement, some story you would hear, like a line. I remember one of the lines I cannot never forget is, once when I was being chased, the militias held my mother's hair. And from that time, I didn't want to see what happened next. How do you even say that? I was like, let's listen to this and let's try to mold images out of this. If we can get images out of this and then we turn these images into fluid kind of nature, then you start getting the other kind of visual. You're seeing in your head, but you can't touch it. Yeah. So we used a lot of image theater and then turned that image theater into fluid movement. And that helped us get a way to portray, to speak some stories that the Rwandan dance could not tell, or where words failed us.
And what I think is so beautiful, if you're using the testimonials of the people, because I would think there would be too much of a great responsibility and a misunderstanding if you're trying to create a story in your own words about what had happened in their truth.
Exactly.
So you're able to take their words and bring it to life.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a big challenge because the owners of these testimonies were part of the audience.
Yeah.
They're part of the audience, and that makes you shake. You feel so nervous about the whole.
Yes.
How it's like just one of them being there, and if they forget about the 30,000, but that one person who was either mass raped, who was seen it all.
Yes.
And now you're trying to be their voice.
The responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it helped us to invite empathy in our theater spaces. If you can't feel this story, then there's no way you can perform it. But how do you feel a story of an experience that you've never experienced yourself? You need to tap on your own story. You need first unpack yourself. Like, who are you? You yourself, as a human being, before you become a performer.
Yes.
Who are you? Where are your vulnerable spaces? And maybe that can be your bouncing off area to try and step in, let's say, Beata's shoes.
Now, I may sound so silly, but When students, I am lucky enough to teach classes every now and then with the arts. And a lot of the times these students that have gone to university for performance or whatnot will say, what is the one class that you feel you've been able to apply to your professional career? And I say talk therapy. Because I needed to find out. It's so easy to put on a character and wear it like an uncomfortable suit, but you will never be able to embody that character unless you know who you are. So you have got to go, whatever that looks like to you, whether that's a spiritual place, whether that's just a doctor, a therapist, but you have to speak out your fears. You have to find all of the vulnerabilities and the messiness of you before you can walk the story of somebody else.
Absolutely. That's exactly the same process we use right now, and we call it scars of soul.
What's it called?
Scars of soul.
The scars of soul.
Yeah. So that's a methodology. I think it's now, I call it like a homegrown methodology, because coming here, because I was not born in this country. I came after the war. But what I learned in school, my background is theater. So what I learned in school, some of it really didn't give me enough tools to deal with the Rwandan story. And it was like Greek drama, Shakespeare, and all this stuff, like staged up all sorts of things and the rules and around it. But coming face to face with this, I found it like it was a special encounter. And so it was art, because art was just going to be deeper than what, it's not, there's something more than just art. There's soul in art. There's life in art. And sometimes we are under pressure to just deliver art, but we don't walk the soul of art.
So when you were in Uganda and you wanted to become an artist, was it as an actor or a director or a writer? What were your hopes and dreams back in Uganda when you first started to love theater?
It's also another story, that one. But nice. That's a very nice question, because it takes us back to the genesis of my journey right now.
Were your parents Rwandan and they left in the 50s?
Yes.
Okay, so they left during the first genocide.
Yeah. And I was born and raised there.
In Uganda.
But in a family of 11, I'm the 10th born, but they're all scientists and I'm the only artist.
Oh, wow.
And I think it turned out to be like that because the nature of my mother. And just being a little girl, 3 girls and 8 boys, I mean, no one cared about what Hope was doing. She was Hope, first of all, like doing like a butterfly flying around the house. No one cared how much, whether it's focused on math or chemistry or biology.
When you have that many kids, you can't keep track.
No, it's just in my own other world. So it happened like in my high school, I was taken to a British Catholic boarding school. And for 6 years, it had 150 rules. So I was very uniform, everything like this. But there's one anthem we sang every day before breakfast at 9 a.m. And that anthem was called Strive Regardless. But there was a line special in that anthem we sang every day before breakfast for 6 years. We will grace our lives with arts and skills. We sang this every day of my life in that high school.
And somehow that one line always struck with you.
Exactly. I was like, arts and skills. So there's no science or math, the arts and skills, you know. But this Catholic priest pushed and wanted to unearth talents from young people. So the moment you walked in school, you had to do something. Either you are a dancer or you're into poetry or you're doing sports. So you had to do something extracurricular, everything. So for me, I was attracted more into dance and poetry. And then I ended up being in the creative dance school special group. And then would go to perform different production at the National Theatre in Uganda. And then that also kept, strengthening the artistic muscle in me. So when I was done, I told my father that I was going to do music, dance, and drama. He said, "Are you kidding? Where on earth are you going to get bread to feed you?" And I'm like, "What?" But I didn't. He was thinking of like money and all that stuff because I have brothers who are engineers, who are doctors, and here I am. I'm going to do music, dance, and drama. He didn't just get it. it was an embarrassment for him, for his people, because it was always, oh, my son is doing this engineer, civil engineer, oh, my son is doing this other mechanic, oh, my, then here comes, oh.
The arts don't seem real. It seems silly. It seems play. It seems, yes.
The values were all placed on
Math and science.
Math and science.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like doing my music, dance, and drama, but there was one course there that really shaped who I am today. It was called Theatre for Development, or community-based theatre. This is where we were trained to identify gaps in the and try to use art to bridge them. So they would send you to a village, anywhere, and say, go, you know, go look for their problem in that area, and come report on what and report, and your project is how you're going to use art to solve
the problem in that community.
Yeah, and sometimes it will be about hygiene, it will be maybe malaria, it will be about stuff like that. And then you go like in a community and you like start, you know, behaving like them, going with them and trying to look at that.
And all that time you had no idea that it was forming the base for one of the most important things you'd ever do.
Right.
In helping an entire nation.
And you know, it was not like that diva kind of.
Oh, sure.
Because it was more like real, like
down and dirty.
Getting dirty.
Yes.
You know, if it is jiggers, you go into jiggers and see what causes jiggers in people, and how can I help them know that jiggers.
This is my poem on bed bugs.
How can we deal with this problem? But you know, you need to know what causes it, and you can only know by going down to the real ground.
But the bottom line was connection. You were reaching that community with what was important to them.
I am amazed by the universe, or the forces of nature, or the forces of our creations that really craft us who we are without knowing. And all you need to do is just open your heart and follow your heart.
And say yes.
Yeah, and say yes. Yeah. And embrace everything and just say, yeah, why not?
And so now you're using the art form to help young people heal from trauma.
Exactly. So at the end of my university course, I wrote a production about Rwanda, but I'd never been to Rwanda. And my only source of information and research was my father. And he kept, why do you ask these things? I'm like, why? I'm writing a play. Oh, what are you going to do with those things? Like, Daddy, I'm doing an exam. It's a serious exam, Daddy, you know. Yes. I need to include it. It's my playwriting. So I was majoring in drama, and I was a dance and music minor because I danced for 6 years. I was like, enough dance. I can do it on a minor level, but let me know how to write and direct. Who knows, one day I could have a theater company. That's exactly what I said.
And does your dad believe now that the arts and writing and dance heal as much as medicine?
Oh, yeah. He's passed on now. He passed on around 2003. Oh, wow. But the play I had written was about reconciliation in this country. And one of the audience members came and said, are you from Rwanda? I'm like, yeah. Do you mind if you come to Rwanda and you started these things? I'm like, are you kidding? I speak zero French. My Kinyarwanda is zero. I have zero friends. I don't know anything apart from my parents who had just come back and my brothers. He said, when you're done, look for me. I work here and here, and then I'll connect you to the art community. I was like, fine. And then I remembered in my high school, there's one rule that our headmaster had taught us. He said, always knock on the right door. Never ever go in corners. If you need somebody, knock on their door. Whenever they open, you'll get what you have the right conversation. They don't open, then it was never meant to open.
It wasn't your conversation.
Sounds like fine. So after my university, I had written a very beautiful thesis, and then I come. Then I tell my brother, take me to this man. Do you have an appointment? No. But he said, I come whenever I'm done, and I'm done.
So knock, knock.
Yeah.
So I went straight to Radio Rwanda, and a lot of escorts at that time. There was a lot of security around radio. I'm like, I don't care. The guy said, I come. If this is where he works and there are a lot of soldiers, I'm fine.
What do you have to lose?
I'm no criminal. I'm not anything. I'm just looking for a man who said I come when I'm done with the university, and I'm here with my university script. That's how I got into this.
There's drama and comedy, and we've been speaking much dramedy, and in walks comedy.
The comedy, yeah. So you can now talk about comedy. The young boy who is now a boy. Now the boy has a beard.
Now the boy is grown and full of jokes.
It's been a long time. That was 2004.
Yeah,
But is that a
2004.
memory that still sits with you?
Yeah, because it's the beginning. I think nobody forgets the beginning. It's, I remember we were walking around the stadium and my dad asked us, and so I was with my brothers, and it's like, anybody can act? I was like, yeah. And they was like, cry. I'm like, what? We're in the street.
So it's not necessarily something you wanted. You were kind of pushed into it.
Not really pushed. He knew I was stubborn and maybe thought I would give it a try. I think they were looking for someone to act. And then when I cried, he's like, you know what, I'll see. I'll see what I can do. Because I knew he was an actor. He had acted in a big movie called 100 Days. And, you know, you always want to be in the same steps as your father because you feel like it's a cool thing to be on a newspaper as an actor. News going out there that your father is an actor is a good thing. So that day when he told me to cry, I am the only one in my brothers that cried. I always told my friends, like, my success started as a sad story. I cried to be where I am. So
It's a good thing that none of your brothers were feeling sad that day.
Exactly. I was like, if I was happy that day, I was going to lose out my... Yeah, so me crying then he took me the following day, I think 2 days later, he took me to the stadium, and it was my first time to be in theater, and that's when I met Hope. I didn't know about Hope. I just met this lady busy running up and down, and there is a big team of dancers, 500 of them, 100 musicians, and the first daughter was there. You can imagine coming from nowhere, and you're in the same
Such
room
a big scope.
with the first daughter. I mean, the daughter to the president. I'm like, okay, so what's going on? And then my dad was like, you have to cry. You have to do it like you did it last time. I'm like, okay. I was because that's
not a skill most people have to say, cry, right? Did you know that you had that depth or that ability to tap into that?
Yeah, I had started doing acting when I was way into nursery school.
Okay.
I was an actor then. But that was a different, because when I met Hope, she gave me an English script, and then another director gave me a Kinyarwanda script, Rugano.
Yes.
And so it was my first time to work with the director, and Hope was very friendly. And that's the first time I acted in a big stage of 30,000 people.
That's a big first job
stage.
right there. Yeah.
But I didn't know it's a big thing until the day of the show, because I knew what was going on. Okay, I'm performing a story of Theonest Gasana. This is a young kid who celebrates his birthday during the commemoration. The first day of the genocide is his birthday. I could understand it. He was young, but I couldn't feel it that much, because at the end of the day, it was very much for me. Yeah. 1, I need to impress my dad. 2, this is acting. Oh my God, I'm acting. 3, oh my God, these are a lot of people. 4, so when the music starts, that's when I speak. And then when I speak, it was overwhelming.
Right,
but
you were not in your body,
exactly,
you were kind of floating
exactly.
all above yourself.
But on the day of the show, we actually always talk about it with Hope. For some reasons, the set design became natural. It became real. It rained.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And we were lying down, and it was raining, and the security said, no, leave the kids. And I think also Hope, I don't know what happened, but I figured they said, should we get the kids out of this? Because we're in the middle of the pitch and it was raining. And then when I stood up, for some reason, it just became real. And then Maria Johanna, she's an amazing singer. She sang, and I had to walk talking to her. And I felt honest. And that's the first time I enjoyed theater, because I felt like I could live so many lives with it. And then she held me, and I felt like she's my mother. It was so real. And we started crying, and I forgot my lines. And I think someone else went on, and I had to go light a candle to the president. I think that's the very, very first day I said, I love theater. I think this is real. It's not drama. It's not it's not supposed to be perfect.
It's a living
It's a living thing.
That's
yeah.
why, for us, the medium of theater, people ask us all the time, do you enjoy television more or film more? But that live theater where anything can happen, it can rain, you freaking get a line, someone can be crying in the front row.
Yeah.
It's a living, breathing thing that we get to control. And if the outcome is not so great, that could have been our fault. But if something is remarkable that happens, that's also, we did that. We made that. And no other medium can you really speak to that like live theater.
And it just reminds you that we really are just one. And the theater is just an expression of that oneness. You know? To me, that's what it is.
Another thing I think I get out of it, because after all that, many years later, I joined another industry, which is comedy. And comedy is scripted, however much you're telling reality, but it's somehow scripted. And then there is radio. Whenever Hope calls me for a job, I say, I'm there. It's okay, because that's when you actually experience another personality you have. Every story is a person, and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. I want to know who's this. Okay, now this is a young man. This is an old man. It gives you a chance to be fluid, to be liquid, to take the form they give you. And it's always amazing, because out here working, we are one person. You're Arthur. That's who you are. You can't change. But with theater, you change.
And it's really amazing. The first cohort that experienced performing genocide-related subjects, like on that 10th commemoration, their acting techniques are on another level. On another level. The performance we did at that time, Africa's Hope, has been on world tours, has been to UK, has been to US, has been to South Africa. But that cohort, the 13, because remember the cast was about 1,000, but there was a core group. So that core group is the core group that went on tour, kept going back and forth. But the moment they meet together and you tell them the subject that they're going to perform, if you look at them, there's some transformative spirit that grabs them. When Arthur knows is going on stage, these kind of jokey things, you don't know why they disappear. Suddenly you see that there's something transformative in his eyes. And they all go into and eyes become our gate to soul. It grabs them. That spirit grabs them. And that same spirit is what I saw on that day we performed in the stadium. Because also the rain was like a curtain raise. It was like a curtain. Because the moment they announced Mashirika, we are going to go in the stadium, heaven kissed earth.
Wow.
Like heavy. And then it stopped. And then we're like, guys, are we going to perform? The grass is wet, the ponds of water, what are we going to do?
And it was so cold.
And the people in the stadium being rained on.
Didn't move.
That is something else. That forces not just another performance. So they walk into the stadium. There are moments that caused also trauma. And there was like trauma. It was really contagious. And there's Red Cross running around. Yes, those screams. Every little bit of gesture or something, whatever Arthur said, just one word triggered memories. The past just came alive.
Weight of the responsibility that is on you when someone is truly listening, because to listen, you do open your heart. That's so powerful. That's really powerful. And just hearing you talk about it in this space all these years later, I'm covered in goosebumps.
But also, it was really amazing that time, because also the reactions you get after. Like Beata got traumatized. We didn't know that one of the testimonies we are performing, one of the ladies in the audience was the owner of the story. Because we got the testimonies from the Kigali Genocide Memorial, but she's one of the people you find on walls and in the visuals and all that. And then she comes and says, thank you for walking in my spirit. Like, what does this mean? I cried and cried and cried.
I'm about to cry.
And you don't know how to tell somebody, I'm enjoyed you. Glad you cried.
You can't say you're welcome.
The honest, you cannot say welcome. No. So what the best you can do is to hug. So hugging was really part of even of our rehearsal time, when people would break down with emotions because of the music, because of a little bit of something there as actors. But also in the piece itself, there's a choreography of hugging. It's when you're watching
With
the
a wake
show.
up song.
Yeah, there's a wake up song where people are like, "Oh, you're awake."
Narose.
Yeah.
That I had a dream. Jewe narose. Like I had a dream.
I had a dream, that children were playing, because there's a transition from the memory beat to hopes and dreams. And then we use this song of Spiriane Rugamba, who was murdered with his choir during genocide because he was his music had a lot of prophecy. Mm-hmm. And then his 30-something people are killed, that he has the reading music. And that music is what, because how do you jump from the dark cluster to the light side? You need to transition. So we lay down, but waking up to a new day. So we use this song that I dreamt Rwandan children played. I dreamed. So waking up from that, Arthur looks, spots another actor, and they hug. And that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. People after the war, they're like, "Oh, you survived," and they're just hugging and crying. And that's exactly the real reality is actually and what I think made the play.
The transitions have always been a problem up to now. I always tell Hope, I'm like, Hope, I'll be honest with you. I still struggle with transitioning from the dark side to the light side. But that was the reality. We had to transition whether we liked it or not. And that's the unity and reconciliation that came in. Mm-hmm. Right. You had to meet your neighbor.
So it shouldn't come across.
So there is no process.
Easy transition.
Exactly.
It's not in reality.
It's a switch.
Yeah.
And that switch is so hard, but life goes on. And then you're like, okay, now here comes that moment that I have to understand that however much I'm carrying Tonest's story, me, the real Arthur, I am the future because I'm here. Yeah. Now I need to come out.
Yeah.
Now that transition is tough because now me, Arthur, I'm a joyful guy. I know genocide through stories. I didn't live it. I wasn't here.
You weren't here?
I wasn't here.
So you were in Uganda?
I was in Uganda and I came in Rwanda in 1997. That was after the genocide. I know genocide through stories, through wounded souls from the people you see, the stories they tell you, and then visiting Aegis Trust and knowing and going through the characters. The transition now wants the actual you because you are the living future.
Yeah.
But does it feel disrespectful that to leave?
To some reasons, to be honest, it does.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like when I transition, I'm still the Theonest Kasana. I feel like now I'm the Arthur. But then I have to be there because I have to say life changed. We need to live like this. We need to be like this. I feel like now I'm talking to the Theonest and his perpetrator. That, hey, after listening to your story, walking through your shoes, life can actually be more. But there is more to life. But how do you say that without damaging the story you've just told? Right? And that's why now the transition in the play always starts with music. And to me, that's why I always love any play that has music.
The name of your arts festival, Ubuntu? No, it's correct. Go ahead.
Ubumunu. So it's Ubuntu, South African accent, but the T now in a way we pronounce it is like heavy on your tongue. It's Nu.
Okay.
Yeah, it's NTU, so Nu.
And we have been told, tell us if it means something different, but I am who I am because of who we are. Does that seem right?
That's the essence, and that's a slogan that was started by Desmond Tutu. It's an ideology for being human. But the Ubuntu means being human.
Being human.
Yeah.
Because that is at the Genocide Museum. Yeah. It's right there in the mid-courtyard.
So being human is really what Ubuntu means. And the festival is created for the sake of humanity. To, bring back what we've lost as humans, and using the genocide memory as the backdrop, that what looks like my story today can be your story if nothing is done.
And is that festival dance and poetry and acting?
It's really, every day it changes. It's basically anything performative. People have now started mixing visuals. Like what we used to call like a film. Now it's part of like performing film, the interactive films, mixed media. And it's just amazing. It gives people that level of creativity. Because like right now what we really have to, the festival is up on next week on the 16th and 17th. I'm
sorry, we'll miss it.
No, it's on digital platforms. We'll give you the links. But the theme is rebirth. It's also like Africa's Hope, actually, because every night has a theme based on how we see what kind of conversation we want to have. Like last year, the theme was breathe, stop, breathe, and live. And then literally the world stopped to breathe. So they are now beginning to accuse us and telling us, you guys, are you prophets?
Your fault?
Are you prophets? Abahanuzi. Abahanuzi means being prophets.
So it comes.
Because the theme we announced it in 2019 and then the world
stopped. Everything stopped.
And then after that we are like, but we stopped to breathe. Now we need to live, but we cannot live without being reborn
again. Yes.
So this year is rebirth.
Love it.
Yeah, so there's a way realities and the truth of what's happening in the human world writes the script and dictates which themes, but it's not like us who profess. It's just like you can't come to life before you're reborn.
It's a fine line, again, coming from the outside looking in, and you hear these pieces that have such pain and depth and weight that I find myself almost curling into myself when I hear about it. So you think of an entire festival with this sort of content of conflict and pain. Do you find that people are releasing, or it's necessary to heal, or do you find that they have to confront the heaviness in order to then move forward and release?
Truly, honestly speaking, everyone, it's an individual's journey, but it's a journey of introspection. It's introspective. My vision was just to see people walk home in silence and they go thinking about the abused
and
product.
You can't concern yourself with the result. Whatever this person feels.
I mean, you can never. It's just like how long is a healing journey for an individual? It can take some it's 2 years, some it's 50 years, some it's 100 years, some it's 1 year, some it's 2 years. It's about how you take it in and how you unpack and heal, and your wound. It heals in layers, and those layers only can be known by truth, not by you. Yeah, but we want just people to take away something that can help them reflect on what being human is.
You were part of a reality television show, right? And I know this seems like a strange segue into this, but to speak to that humanity, to know that you were being watched at every moment of the day, did you feel like you could truly be yourself, or did you feel there had to be something performative to that, knowing that there were cameras in every corner?
It just showed me that life is about acting for a short while, and then you're real after. Because the reality show, the first few days you know that they are watching, but you always can't keep up an act. And with time, you loosen out. Your inner self has to be real, whether you like it or not. It just has to come out. And it can give you, okay, I'm giving you 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, I'm out.
You're too exhausted to put up the act.
And it also comes with the reality of humanity, because at the end of the day, I think Hope always says this, there is always a beast in everyone within us, and gives you some time. You can hide me for some time, but I'll be out. And the reality show tells you, okay, they are watching you, so act. Choose a character and stick to it. 2 weeks later, people were who they are.
Yeah.
It has a connection with theater, though. This is the connection. I always say we act in rehearsals, but we live on stage. On the act, we live it. And that's what happens is in rehearsals when it's a sad moment and it's a real moment, you might act the crying. Oh my God, I've been feeling sad. But when you go on stage, you realize that crying is not about tears. It's the feeling. You smile differently. You are sad differently. So a director can't tell you, put down your lips when you're sad, because
not everybody does that.
Not everybody does that.
Yeah.
So if I'm to connect it, actually, the reality show tells you that man and woman can act for a certain period of time, but in real life, it will come out.
Amen.
It will, whether you like it or not, it will be out. But that's the difference on the projects that I've worked with Mashirika. There is no that directing part. The co-creation is done by us. It's the idea. It just starts with the idea. So when you know you created, you are part of the creation, you don't have to act it. And some days are bad because you didn't feel it. And you're like, I just did. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you had a bad show. You are real.
That's what you brought to the table that day.
Yeah.
I'm being honest, and this is who I am bringing today.
Today, this was it. I think I fall in love with radio through theater because theater in Rwanda is not a big thing. It's a big thing because that's how we live, but we don't agree. I feel like radio is another big channel of theater, not only stage, because it's imaginary. And there is nothing as beautiful as imaginary communication. You use your mind and it doesn't put a color. It doesn't put height. It doesn't put a face. You have the whole freedom of creating your own play. So that's why every day I'm on radio, I'm performing. And everyone is getting a separate play. And that's why I meet someone, I'm like, oh my God, I thought you're an old guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm this young.
When you were very young, did you have an imaginary friend? Could you remember certain places that you would pretend to travel to? Is there a memory there where your imagination first came in? Do you remember?
When I was young,
Yes.
I was a very boring kid.
Were you really?
Yes. I was competing for attention with my brothers. They were very talented. One of them is a singer. I actually is in my agency. It's called Syntax. He was so talented. He was super talented. He was the footballer. He was the dancer. He was smart. He could eat.
But he
could eat.
Yes, a baby who could eat is the favorite.
He could not cry on cue.
No.
He just messed it up. He couldn't cry.
That was it.
So I think my whole life I was competing. I was just competing for attention. I think the whole idea of competing kind of stops you from thinking who you really are. When I started doing theater and someone believed in me and said, you are the one to hold the candle of the president. You can imagine this is a kid who was competing for just attention of the mother. Right. And now you have attention of the country. That is when I exploded.
Yeah.
And even home, they're like, we don't know what happened or when it happened. You became who you are. And
that's the transition.
Yeah.
The same in the play. You were this kid. Somebody gave you the candle and said, here's the nation.
And that was it.
And it felt like, how do you connect the two? It doesn't need
permission. And that was it. And from there, I always told Hope I can do anything. Why are they dancing and I'm not dancing? Because they know how to dance. I will learn. The next thing, you ask her, the next thing I was in the traditional troupe. The next thing I was playing the drums. The next thing I was playing the xylophone. And then...
Actually, that xylophone moment killed me.
Yes.
How did you learn it overnight? You learned how to play a xylophone because one of the guys was playing a xylophone. We had been invited to the G8 summit. And one of the guys who was doing this had to return home because of family things. And he was like, I can drum. I'm like, what? Yeah. And he started like, din. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
You play the xylophone.
Yeah, and that's how I've become who I am. I feel like...
You say yes.
Just do it. You just jump in.
Yeah. I just feel like people are more. We're more. We just...
We put our own limitations on ourselves because we feel like we need to know where we're going.
Because we define the human being. And to me, that's why I love Ubumunu. It's different. It's not one person.
Yeah.
You can change.
Yeah.
And it's okay at any age. At any age, you can change. And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, don't be surprised if one day you get to hear that I'm a doctor. Because what does it take? It's life. And I think that's what I picked from theater is when I say life goes on. I didn't tell you where it goes. You decided which direction to take it. Yeah, and that's what Hope was saying. We don't want you to decide. We just go and take whatever you take and observe and reflect. And so I try to use that kind of format on radio that it makes it real when someone is listening, and I always talk to that one person.
Yeah.
So it's not reporting. So I'm not a reporter. No, I'm just an exposing person.
Arthur, I have heard the phrase life goes on thousands of times, and never once have I ever stopped to think nobody tells you where it goes.
And that's like the bridge in Africa's hope. From when we are lying down to wake up to a new day,
up to the
life goes on. Actually, it's right now that line I now know why it came into existence.
Yeah.
Because now it makes so much sense. Because we don't tell people where they're going.
No.
It's just one simple line with music and the flute, and just life goes on.
And now it's time for the 5 questions.
If you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to keep walking, to keep moving.
Keep moving.
Without knowing where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The future will know.
Yeah, I love it. All right, if you could have any ability, superpower, or what would it be?
To easily change.
I think you already have that ability.
Yeah.
No, I don't. It doesn't come easily because you need
okay.
approval. At the end of the day, we are people. We belong in a community, and society approval is a lot.
Yeah.
So when I say easily change, goes beyond. When I say it in my mind, it's confirmed.
Okay.
And I would love that ability, to be honest. Yeah.
In your life, whether it's performing or whatnot, do you have a ritual or a good luck charm that you use?
Yeah. I just laughter.
You laugh.
Yeah. It's very hard to laugh, but when I'm like, let me just start laughing and start giggling like a child. And just to burst out and laugh like a child is such a great vitamin and booster in my life. And every time I do that, I feel like, the child in me is awake.
There she is.
There she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us something
Yeah.
that people might find surprising about you that they don't know.
Even your best friend. They think they know you, but
There's a surprise.
there's a surprise.
I love alone. I love alone so much.
You love to be alone.
I love it
You're an introvert.
so much that I celebrate it.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then people, because they see I'm in people, I'm on what, but when I'm alone, and sometimes, and when I say being alone, sometimes it's not being alone, it's being alone in mind. Ever been alone when you're with a lot of people in your mind?
Oh, I do it often.
Yes. So one thing I love that I feel like it's hard for people to understand, I just hate being with people sometimes. I just want to be alone.
I hope you don't think me sexist. It just ended this way. The last question, which is a bit silly, but if you were a nail polish color, what would that color be, and what would the name of the color be?
I'm obsessed with really natural colors now. Very naked colors like that.
Yes.
Like
colors.
No color. I don't know. I'm shifting off from color to just natural colors.
Natural.
And what would the name be?
What would the name of that natural color be?
I don't even know. Like glitter.
Glitter.
Nice. Yeah.
Not
I don't know.
glitter.
I don't know. Maybe because
What color would you be?
You can answer.
The color. I love green.
Green.
Yeah. I love green and pink. And the funny part is, I never wear pink. But I love seeing someone
Wearing pink.
wearing pink. I'm like, it's a very, very nice color.
Don't the prisoners wear pink in Rwanda?
orange.
Don't kill my dream.
I can't thank you enough.
It's
No,
been
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you for
two
having
are an
us.
inspiration. It's been so great.
Thank you for having us.
It was amazing.
Coming up next, what struck a chord with us? Right after a word from our sponsor. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our theme song says, love where you are now, but sometimes we all need a little help. I've learned from therapy and in my yoga practice that growth comes from challenges. A good therapist can help you reframe the way you look at a challenge and your life. And BetterHelp can provide you with a therapist that give you some tools to navigate. They offer customized online therapy, either on video or phone chat sessions. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can reach a therapist in under 48 hours. And right now, Stages cast members get 10% off their first month with BetterHelp, so don't wait. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you support Stages Podcast. So log on to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/stages, and love where you are now. When Hope was talking about in the play, where that she made them all lie down and then wake up to a new beginning, there is a yoga pose called Shavasana that is literally called corpse pose.
Yes.
And that is the whole thinking behind that pose. It's that you lay down in a corpse pose, palms up, and it's done in
and the weight of the earth, right? Yeah.
And it's done in almost every, it's the only pose that's done in almost every yoga class.
Wow.
Almost every yoga class will end with it. And so quite apart from how, physically beneficial it is, it lowers the heart rate. It allows your parasympathetic nervous system to take over. But aside from the physical benefits, it has this really deep meaning. And it's a symbol for letting go of the ego. It's the death of craving and grasping and longing for the outside world to bring us happiness. And it's about dropping into the breath and finding your inside inspiration, like what gives you light, what brings you inspiration out when you let go of all the outside distractions and drop in that death pose, what brings you light. And then as you come out of it, you decide as you move out into the world, who the new you is going to be, who are you going to bring out to the world. And that's exactly what she was talking about.
Yes. When
she was saying, they come into the theater as one. I want them to leave in silence and decide what they're going to take out with them. It was like she made a whole play about that pose to me. It was really amazing. Yeah.
So much stuck out for me. And full disclaimer, obviously we're no longer in Rwanda. We're back in the States, but I have not stopped processing that trip. I've not stopped processing those thoughts and the place from which it felt to me, the entire community, every person that we met in Rwanda comes from a place of spirituality, comes from a place of a deeper, not necessarily understanding, because I don't know if anybody can truly understand the conflict and atrocity that the genocide brought to that country. But when you decide to, like you said, have a rebirth, when you are, and I'm putting this in quotes, forced to face your neighbor and all of the life and all of the pain and all of the tragedy and triumph that human has brought and affected into your life, and you say, we have to move forward together. I mean, I think of this several times a day and I still can't wrap my head around it. And yet I am envious of the outcome, certainly not of the act itself. That is, it's heartbreaking when you hear them speak, but to see the light. And the word that kept being used by Arthur was transition, right? The difficulty in the transition. He, of course, is speaking about the play that they did, which was Africa's Hope. But I feel that in life too. It's always that transition that is so discombobulating, and you don't even know what end is up. And then it starts to become more and more clear. And you bring everything that happened to you before into the next stage, into the next chapter, into the next rebirth. But those transitions is where I'm finding myself now. It's a real place of search. And that's what I've been holding on to with this conversation, because I can't possibly put myself in their shoes. I can speak of sympathy. I can even try to be empathetic, but I will never be able to get to the place of what they saw and experienced and still live with. But the timbre in his voice changed when he said,
It's the transitions. They are so difficult. And he was using them in the context of the play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in life, that's truly the hard place to be.
It really is. There's a certain point in transitions where you have to let go of the past. You can remember it, but it's not allowed to shape you anymore. There comes a point where you have to decide that you're going to co-create your world. The other thing she talked about that I really loved was the power of silence.
Oh my gosh. Mary,
and how she used that power of silence to tell a story. So, I mean, that phrase alone, how do you tell a story with silence?
Silence can tell the story. That is what she said. And now I am so much more aware, whether I'm watching, Succession, or I'm seeing a play, or scenes from a marriage, when they're sitting in silence for 5 seconds, 20 seconds, it is palpable, right? And you can almost see their thoughts just by how their posture, what's going on with their eyes, their gaze. It's really, really powerful. And as an artist, I'm going to take that with me. As a wife and a mother, I'm going to take that with me. Just, you don't have to fill the space all the time. I'm constantly trying to fill the space for Vivi. And, what do you think about that? Or how was your day? Or, ooh, if this color was it, shut up. Let's be quiet.
I think it's part of being an actor, though, because you're so aware of the energy in a space. Like when you're on stage and you're moving the show forward, you feel when there's a dip, when there's a drop, and it's part of your job to get in there and raise it back up again,
Sure, as an actor, yes, but in real life.
But we carry that into real life. It is okay. It's totally okay. But I think we're trained for it not to be okay.
I'm going to retrain myself, because I really do believe, she'll come to me when she wants to share something. So if it's something of importance, I can certainly, I'm not saying I'm not going to engage in conversation with my child, but I don't need to fill it with arbitrary ideas and just to keep the conversation ball in the air. Yeah, I'm afraid that, 3 years from now, she's going to be like, I'm not telling you anything. Like, I'm talking to you now.
Yeah.
Bye, Ma. Yeah.
It's just called holding space.
That's it.
Holding space. And there doesn't have to be anything in that space. And it's not your job to fill the space. And when you hold space, especially in silence, it allows for something else to come in that might surprise you. And it takes the pressure off you to feel like you have to fill that space with something. Yeah, it was very powerful. I think it's a great way to start the new year with these kind of things in mind. Like, if we all take into our new year, I'm going to hold space for someone who might need the space, or who could fill the space with joy, or who, let's just see what happens when we hold space. How great is that?
Really great. She also mentioned, going to places, asking them what their challenge, what their problem, what are the things that they're facing that they would like a little help with, and then creating art to solve that problem, not just to entertain, but how can I truly help heal or bridge the gap, or shine a light on something that needs amplification and attention, and perhaps aid.
And then you hold the space for the answer.
That's right.
There it is. All right, my friend. Happy New Year.
And to you too. Much love.
You too.
So if this episode resonated with you, please follow, subscribe, and share.
You can always find us at stagespodcast.net. A big thank you goes out to our assistant and doer of all things technical, Saren Cho. Thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for our beautiful original music, Melanie Von Trapp for our Stages Podcast logo, Brock Grenfeld, our sound engineer, and Allison Arns, our PR and social media expert.
And thank you, our cast members, for joining us today. We hope you come back next week.